Welcome back. I'm Will. You know, over the last few years, one of the most common conversations online has been about automation. Everywhere you look, people are talking about AI replacing jobs, automating businesses, generating content, handling customer support, editing videos, building websites, writing code. And honestly, at times it almost feels like we're moving toward a future where nearly everything becomes automated. But the more I think about it, the more interesting question becomes. If AI can eventually automate almost everything, what actually remains valuable? Because historically, every technological shift changes what society rewards. When information was scarce, access to information was valuable. When production was difficult, production skills were valuable. When distribution was limited, owning distribution was valuable. But now we're entering an era where information is infinite, production is becoming automated, distribution is algorithmic. So naturally, the question becomes, what becomes rare in a world where almost everything becomes abundant? And honestly, I think this question is much deeper than business. I think it changes how people think about careers, skills, identity, creativity, and even meaning.
Yes, and I think that's exactly why so many people feel both excited and anxious at the same time. Because AI is creating enormous opportunity. But it's also forcing people to reconsider where their value actually comes from. And historically, whenever technology automates something, human value shifts upward into areas that are harder to automate. For example, when calculators became widespread, mathematical calculation itself became less valuable. But strategic thinking became more valuable. When the internet made information accessible, memorization became less important. But interpretation became more important. And now AI is automating production and execution at a massive scale. Which means the next layer of human value is likely moving toward judgment, taste, perspective, emotional intelligence, trust, creativity, systems thinking. Those become increasingly important because they are harder to commoditize.
That idea of commoditization is really interesting. Because I think that's what people are unconsciously reacting to.
Yes, they're realizing that many things which previously felt special are becoming widely accessible very quickly. And when everyone suddenly has access to the same tools, the competitive landscape changes completely. Because now the question is no longer, who can produce? But, who can think better? Who can connect better? Who can create trust? Who can make better decisions? And honestly, I think we're only at the beginning of this shift.
Let's start with something practical because I think many people are experiencing this already without fully understanding what's happening. A few years ago, certain skills created enormous leverage online: graphic design, video editing, copywriting, coding, research, content production. And now AI tools are rapidly lowering the barrier for all of these. So how should people think about skill value in this new environment? And more importantly, which skills become less valuable, and which become more valuable as AI advances?
This is probably one of the most important strategic questions people can ask right now. And the first thing to understand is that AI doesn't eliminate value entirely, it shifts value upward. What usually becomes commoditized first are repeatable execution tasks, meaning tasks that follow predictable structures. For example, basic editing, generic copywriting, simple coding, standard graphic design, repetitive research. AI becomes very effective at these because patterns can be learned and replicated. But what becomes more valuable are higher-order capabilities. High-value human skills in the AI era. 1. Judgment. AI can generate options. But humans still decide which direction matters, which strategy makes sense, which risks are worth taking, which opportunities align long-term. And judgment improves through experience, context, and pattern recognition. 2. Taste. This is massively underrated. As content volume increases, curation becomes more valuable. Because abundance creates noise. And people who can identify quality, elegance, simplicity, clarity, emotional resonance will stand out dramatically. 3. Storytelling and interpretation. AI can generate information. But humans connect emotionally through stories and meaning. People don't remember raw information. They remember interpretation. 4. Trust and relationships. Automation scales communication, but trust still compounds through perceived humanity and consistency.
That's fascinating because it means AI may actually increase the importance of deeply human qualities instead of reducing them.
Exactly. And I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions right now. People assume AI automatically makes humans less relevant. But historically, automation often increases the value of uniquely human capabilities.
One thing I've noticed online is that as AI-generated content becomes more common, people seem to crave personality more. Not perfection, not polished corporate messaging, but actual perspective and human energy. And it's interesting because for years many businesses tried to sound more professional by becoming more neutral. But now neutrality almost feels invisible online. So do you think personality becomes a competitive advantage in an AI-saturated world?
Absolutely. Because when information becomes abundant, emotional differentiation becomes more important. And personality is part of emotional differentiation. Think about it this way. If 10 creators explain the same concept, why do people repeatedly return to one specific person? Usually it's not because the information itself is radically different. It's because of delivery, perspective, energy, communication style, emotional connection. And AI ironically amplifies this because generic content becomes easier to produce. So personality becomes a filtering mechanism.
That's really interesting because it means authenticity becomes economically valuable.
Yes, but authenticity in a very intentional sense. Not just oversharing everything online. Real authenticity is alignment between communication, values, positioning, behavior. And people subconsciously detect alignment very quickly.
Let's shift toward business models specifically. Because I think many people are wondering, what types of businesses actually survive and grow in an AI-dominated world? Especially when AI tools are reducing operational costs and lowering barriers to entry everywhere. So what kinds of businesses become stronger because of AI rather than threatened by it?
The businesses that become stronger are usually the ones that combine systems, trust, distribution, brand, proprietary insight. Because tools alone are rarely sustainable advantages long-term. For example, if everyone has access to the same AI tools, then the differentiator becomes how intelligently those tools are used. Business models likely to grow. 1. Education businesses. People still need guidance, interpretation, and structure. 2. Personal brands. Trust compounds. 3. Community-driven businesses. People increasingly value belonging in curated environments. 4. AI-enhanced service businesses. Agencies and consultants using AI strategically gain massive leverage. 5. Niche expertise businesses. Specific knowledge becomes extremely valuable when combined with AI systems.
Let's talk about tools because the ecosystem is evolving incredibly fast right now. Every week new AI platforms appear. So which tools do you think are genuinely changing the future of business workflows?
Next generation AI tools. 1. ChatGPT. Strategic thinking, automation, workflows, research, communication. 2. Claude AI. Long-form reasoning, writing, contextual understanding. 3. Perplexity AI. Research acceleration and knowledge discovery. 4. Midjourney. Visual branding, creative direction, concept generation. 5. Runway ML. AI-generated video production and cinematic editing. 6. 11 Labs. Ultra-realistic AI voice generation and dubbing. 7. HeyGen. AI avatar videos and multilingual communication. 8. Zapier. System integration and workflow automation. 9. Notion AI. Knowledge systems and organizational workflows.
I think one thing people don't discuss enough is the psychological side of all this. Because technology changes behavior, and behavior changes culture. What do you think happens psychologically as AI becomes deeply integrated into everyday life and business?
I think two opposite things happen simultaneously. First, people become overwhelmed by abundance. Infinite content, infinite information, infinite options, which increases distraction, comparison, decision fatigue. But second, people start valuing clarity and simplicity much more. And that's why trusted voices, curated systems, recognizable brands, strong communities become increasingly important because they reduce cognitive overload.
What's fascinating about this conversation is that the future suddenly feels both more technological and more human at the same time.
Exactly, because AI amplifies capability. But human qualities still determine direction.
And maybe that's the real shift happening underneath all this automation. The value of execution decreases, but the value of judgment, trust, perspective, and emotional intelligence increases.
Yes, and the people who learn to combine AI systems with deeply human strengths will probably create the strongest businesses of the future.
We'll see you in the next episode.